Promotion, relegation, and finals placed all online. This weekend had it all in Football Queensland competitions. Welcome to another edition of the Brisbane Football Reviews NPL Sunday Chat. Scott and Adam with you as usual. Adam, as I said, this weekend had absolutely everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it's Sunday night, and we know what time it is. And so we recap a very, very good weekend of football across the leagues. And look, plenty of stories as far as you said, promotion, relegation, premierships won, and premiers almost won.
Absolutely. Before we get into that, however, there were a whole host of games played midweek. Adam, what was the standout result for you?
Well, the one that stands out to me was Magic United and FQPL2 beating Grange at Lanham Park, which effectively handed Caboolture the premiership on Tuesday night. Obviously, then Magic United, and we'll go into later, but just a quick preface on that then Magic United decided to beat the newly crowned premiers on their own patch on the weekend. So they had a pretty good week.
They did. We'll get to that. Now, you've taken the positive news story of the midweek game, so you've left me to be the bad guy. So I'll take the game between Southwest Queensland Thunder, I beg your pardon, and Holland Park Hawks. And it was a win ultimately for the Thunder at home, which kept Brisbane City waiting a few more days to secure their promotion challenge. We'll get to that later on as well. But it also ensured that Holland Park Hawks would be relegated to FQPL2. So it certainly did have a lot on it, that match, and it's just the first match of many matches over this last 7 days or so that have had plenty riding on it.
Yeah, look, and obviously there are going to be few weeks coming up where there's going to be plenty of catch-up matches. Some are going to be completely irrelevant to anything other than getting matches through, and others is going to be crucial to the race, especially in the NPL where it is absolutely all on the line at the moment.
It is. Now, we talked a little bit about promotion and relegation. I mentioned there's also finals games with big games with finals implications on them, and that started off in the NPL men's competition. Let's transition into that discussion now, Adam. NPL men's round 24, and we're going to skip right to the end of the round on Sunday night. Brisbane Roar Academy 2, Olympic FC 0, 2 spectacular goals from Cyrus Demi. We'll talk about Cyrus individually in a moment, but just firstly on the results, a huge 3 points for the Brisbane Roar, given what else happened over the weekend.
Yeah, look, Brisbane Roar scored plenty of games this season. They scored plenty of goals, but this, for mine, is the crowning achievement of their season so far. To go to Goodwin Park and to win 2-0, thanks to you nailed it in one, spectacular goals from Cyrus Demi. This to me is the crowning achievement, and to think, you know what, if there's any doubts that they are going to be whether or not they're going to be finals players, this dispels it.
It does. It's the round where the top 6 teams played off against each other over the course of the weekend. So it was always going to be a potentially decisive weekend, and the Raw took a huge step forward. You're right. They were a team which I think over the course of the season they've looked like they're going to be a top 4 team, but for a lot of people there was always that question mark of would the young side eventually just fall away? Would it happen just when they started bringing younger players because of the A-League players old players who are on the fringe of the A-League moving into pre-season? But they've all been playing in this competition, Adam, and gee, they play some great stuff.
Yeah, look, and also as well, it's one thing to praise Cyrus Demi for his contribution up front, but the back line as well, they hardly looked at trouble tonight. And I include Nathan Foster as well, who as well. And like, we know that Olympic, have got the players and the Carls are really, turn on, but you've got to give credit to that. The Raw backline at the moment, players like Jackson Simpkin, Jackson Hart-Phillips, Dominic Horwood, and I'm trying to think of the fourth one. Who is? Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head who the other defender is.
They played collectively across the board. The whole team is really strong, isn't it? Look, I mean, we're going to talk about Cyrus in a minute, but that whole team across the board has just been absolutely superb. And they've always, whenever they've missed out on players over the course of the season, they've found players to step in and replace them. They've lost Alex Parsons early in the season. They've managed to cover that loss. They had Cyrus Demi unavailable for a few weeks. They managed to cover that loss. They're just a team which they've got a tremendous pool of young players to choose from, Adam, but they always seem to find a way to bring players. And I know one player caught your eye tonight was young Sam Klein in the midfield. We've seen him play a few times, but he looks a really good player as well.
Yeah, look, he did catch my eye. And we saw him make his debut at Heath Park well, it's about 2 months ago now after the 4-week break. But yeah, look, he looks like a player that is certainly in midfield. He's very, very impressive. And yeah, look, but then, like I said, there's been plenty of standouts in that side, and yeah, it's yeah, look, it's a case of, I think we always thought that at some point, as you said earlier, that it's going to be a case of what's the point where the senior side starts taking their best players away and leaving players behind to basically mop up. But as we keep on seeing, they take players. Hassan Ramazani, as we look, hasn't played for a few weeks. I dare say he's now an A-League player, but yet they still keep on stepping up.
Yeah, I think there's a very good argument to be made, given the state of the Australian. I'm not going to get into any of that, but given the way that the pre-season for the Raw looks like it might go, I think there's a very, very good argument to be made that they should keep as many players playing in this competition as they can for as long as they can, because it'd be a far better preparation for them if they're going to get meaningful A-League minutes to play competitive games against really good sides here, as opposed to playing behind closed doors practice games that no one knows about. I think it's far better that they play in the games like this as opposed to those. But we'll move on. Cyrus Demi, we've got to talk about quickly. 2 unbelievable goals. Like the first one showed his blistering pace to get around Zach Anderson with a great finish, but the second goal, that was absolutely spectacular. We've seen it before from Cyrus. Actually, he scored a very similar goal at Capalaba earlier in the season, which was equally spectacular, but this was top draw.
Oh, absolutely. And he somehow got through four defenders, being the aforementioned Zach Anderson, who's no mug. He has got A-League experience. Danny Drive is another one who has been, defensively. That pairing is probably one of the best in the NPL. And he goes through them and then has the presence of mind to chip over an advancing Lachlan Hunter. Look, you cannot teach that. That is just sheer brilliance. And like I said, if anyone has any doubts about Cyrus Demi, whether he can make a contribution, in the A-League, maybe I'm not saying he's going to start every week, from the start of the season and he's going to score 20 goals in a season, but he certainly is, he's now look more and more like the player we hope to be, at least taking those first steps. And by the way, it's Trent Millard that I was thinking of before who stepped in.
There you go. But he isn't going to start every game and score 20 goals. He's going to start every game and score 40 goals. Get it right. And I think it's actually the finish tonight against Olympic, the little dinko top that you mentioned. That's what made this guy a little better than his one against Capella. But I'd love to see a split screen actually of those two side by side. That it would be very, very similar. But quickly on Olympic, they didn't do a lot wrong tonight, did they? They were beaten by 2 moments of brilliance. They had plenty of chances of their own, and they looked good going forward. And the loss tonight isn't going to be terminal in terms of their top 4 hopes. They're still well and truly in the fight.
No, that's the other point where we're fawning for praise on the Raw. But yeah, you're right. Olympic did not play that badly. They may have scuffed a few chances, probably take it. But look, at the end of the day, finals football and playing at that level is about taking your opportunities. And it's only going to be a moments of brilliance or moments of absolute madness that are going to decide these games. Tonight, it was 2 moments of brilliance that gives all 3 points to the Raw. So, look, I think I just said Olympic, I don't think they'll be disappointed by the result. I'm sure they are. But, look, I think at the end of the day, they didn't play that badly.
No, they didn't. And talk about 2 moments of brilliance, which decided a match. We'll move to the first game of the Sunday doubleheader up there at Ballinger Park, where it was a 2-0 win for Lions FC. 2 goals from Alex Fechner in the second half, giving the defending champions a crucial 3 points away from home. And Adam, we've said it time and time again on this show in the last 12 months. In a big game, Lions always seem to turn up, don't they? And they did it once again, so they were incredibly impressive.
Yeah, look, they were, and again, same storyline in the first game to the second game. I don't think Sunshine Coast Wanderers did too much wrong. Again, they had a couple of chances which Luke Boring, saved. His issues, but he was in one of those moods again. And then Alex Fechner, 2 goals as well, 2 breakaway goals as well. And yeah, Lions 6 straight wins now. And going from worrying, are they going to make the finals? They're right in the thick of it again. Then they are probably the form team in the league at the moment.
I think they are the form team at the moment. Actually, you got Luke Boyer and the Beanie must had some magic going tonight, because he was in one of those moods where he just was not going to be beaten. It could have been still going now, and he would not be beaten the form he was in. But I think I spoke to Darren Simon about this after the win against Prince of Power a couple of weeks ago, and kind of talked about the fact that they wanted to make a real statement that night against Power to give them momentum for the remainder of the season, which was essentially about an 8 or 9 game sprint now to the final series. So they do have that momentum now, don't they? We know that when Lions have momentum, they can be awfully hard to stop. I know it's not the same team of 2020 and 2018, but gee, that can be hard to stop when they get that momentum behind them.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You never count Lions out. As I said, I think it's no coincidence that that their form has sort of coincided with Sean Carlos being back. He is the heart of that team as far as their creative go forward. I think he makes Joe Duckworth a more potent player. And look, Alex Fechner, he's getting back up to that level where he was a couple of years ago when he first broke through for Brisbane City. He had obviously an interrupted season last season, but the 2019 season he was one of the best and being one of the youngest at times. So he's starting to find his form at Lions. And if they're all firing, they're still one of the best. And also as well, they now have the FFA Cup to focus on.
They do. They've got that game. Came out 10 goals for the season also for Alex Fechner. So he's having a very fine season out there at Richlands. We'll move on to the third and final clash between the top 6 this weekend. It was the first game of the round, actually, up there at AJ Kelly Park in Redcliffe. It was a 3-2 win for Gold Coast Knights, Adam. They left it late, Gold Coast Knights. They went ahead in the 25th minute through Marek Madley. Brenton Fox scored for Peninsula Power just after the halftime break. Then an own goal put Power 2-1 ahead. Dante Mariner equalised for the Knights in the 82nd minute. And then Nick Panetta in the 93rd minute gave Knights what could be a really crucial 3 points for them, given the fact they've played more games than everybody else. They need the points in the bank. And these 3 points against the league leaders could be so valuable for them.
Yeah, look, it's still against them at the moment. They're having played more games than everyone else. And at the moment, they're sitting in third place, but that's a little bit inflated. But this is a game that we thought maybe that, they had to win to be any chance, and then hope and pray that, the teams around them start dropping points to each other to keep them in it. And I think this is a very important step for them. And it also shows a great character for them that they still think that they are a chance, because let's say a 2-1 down against Power at AJ Kelly Park, you'd almost say, especially the form they've been the last couple of years, it's a very, very hard place to go. So to come back from behind and win it, it just shows that they still believe. And as long as they still believe, there's still a chance.
So they are also a big game team, to be fair to them. There's no doubt about that, the Gold Coast Knights. I feel like I ask you this question every single week, or at least every week since we resumed this show after the last lockdown. What's going on at Peninsula Power?
Yeah, I think it's the same answer. And after next week, that excuse runs out. They did rest a number of players ahead. So they play on Tuesday night against Brisbane Roar in the FFA Cup. I keep on saying the same week. I still got to think that's part of it. But yeah, inside that, and I think maybe some clubs have started to figure them out. It's baffling that that they've gone from winning pretty much going perfect, and all of a sudden they've hit a slump, and the break probably didn't help them.
It certainly didn't help them, no doubt about that. We're talking about the momentum Lions have gained since the lockdown. Well, Power has certainly gone the other way. I do think the game against Brisbane Roar on Tuesday night has had a big part of it, but they still have a margin for error, albeit a smaller one than they had a couple of weeks ago, which makes it much more interesting for the rest of us. But it's a very good result for Gold Coast Knights. Now, we've spent about 15 minutes of waffling going on. Adam, now let's hear what Nick Panetta had to say. He caught up with James at our friend from the Brisbane Football Review midweek show. He caught up with Nick Panetta after the game. So let's hear what Nick had to say after the game last night with Gold Coast Knights 3, Peninsula Power 2.
All right, Nick, huge 3 points for Knights tonight, and you had a pretty big say in the outcome of the game.
Yeah, we left it late, but that was a massive 3 points for us to stay in that top 4 and keep pushing for finals.
And obviously, huge test tonight against Penn Power as well. They really push you to the limit.
Yeah, they're one of the best in the league. They know how to win. obviously the past few results haven't been what they would have wanted, but we knew it was always going to be a tough game, and they certainly gave us a tough game.
And we've just got to take through that strike at the end. Just what was going through your mind? Saw the space and...
Yeah, kind of cut in on my ride, and when I'm on my ride I just hit it. Hope for the best, I guess.
Well, I suppose that's the appropriate mindset to have for a forward like yourself.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and obviously, got FFA Cup coming up as well, hopefully. Looking forward to that?
Yeah, hopefully we get to go up there on Wednesday, and I'm sure it'll be a big game for both clubs. Obviously, Edge Hill, probably their biggest game in history, and they'll get a big crowd. So, yeah, we really got to focus on getting the win in that game.
Perfect. Well, congratulations. Phenomenal strike. It was a pleasure to call the game, and good luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So that was Nick Pinot talking to James there, our host from the midweek show. Thank you to Nick and James for that interview. Adam, we'll move on and talk about the rest of the games from round 24 in the NPL men's competition. It started on Friday night. A 1-0 win for Gold Coast United at home to Logan Lightning. A goal from Sam King with 20 minutes to play, giving the home side the points there. On Saturday, down at the Cleveland Showground, it was a 1-1 draw between Redlands United and Magpies Crusaders. A result which really didn't help either side, in fairness. So at Heath Park, it was a 1-0 win for Eastern Suburbs over Brisbane Strikers. A goal from Son there right on the hour mark. And up at Moreton Bay, it was a 4-0 win for the home side against Capalaba. There, 2 goals from Rio Ono, his 15th of the season. Declan Smith and young Jake Ellenberger on the score sheet there. So a bunch of goals for Moreton Bay in a game which they had to win, but in the relegation fight, no help for anybody.
No. Quite simply, I think that draw between Redlands and Magpies basically seals both their fates. Obviously, the defeat of Brisbane Strikers pretty much seals their fate as well. I think it's actually important that East's actually got a win. I think, again, they're safe, but yeah, like so they need to at least click over some wins. And Gold Coast United also got a win which pretty much guarantee them safety mathematically as well. And they've obviously got a few games in hand, albeit against Peninsula Power home and away, but they also need a win, so I think they're safe. So Capalaba, mathematically the only team that probably still can get relegated, but it's going to be a mountain of an effort for any of those 3 teams from 12 to 14 to bridge the gap.
Yeah, we kind of half jokingly, half seriously discussed ways which the bottom 3 could get out of their peril last week. I think it's fair to say that any remote chance of that is probably gone. And that relegation tour, yes, we did see the banner there at Goodwin Park tonight. It was absolutely fantastic. The relegation tour is almost complete. I think it'll probably be confirmed in the next 7 days or so. So Redlands are in 12th, Magpies 13th, and Brisbane Strikers 14th on 10, 8, and 8 respectively. There's a 10-point gap between those 3 sides and the nearest challenger, Capalaba. So Capalaba, they're near enough safe. It'll probably be in the next 7 days or so they secure their safety. But for those bottom 3 sides, it seems like the relegation to FQPL 1 is just a matter of time away. We'll spend more time talking about the top of the table because that's actually where this is getting much more interesting, Adam. At the top of the table, Peninsula Power, they are still top on 46 points from 19 games played. In second this week, Brisbane Roar on 45 points from 21 games. So it's a 1-point gap at the top, but Power have 2 games in hand, both of which are against Gold Coast United to be played in the coming weeks. In third place is Gold Coast Knights on 43 points from 22 games played. And in fourth this week is Lions FC on 41 points from 21 games played. Then you've got also on 41 points Sunshine Coast Wanderers, but they've played 20 games, so they've got a game in hand. You've got then in sixth place Olympic on 39 points from 20 games. And Moreton Bay United, who were not playing against the top 6 this weekend, they made good on that by good on that advantage, I should say, on that with picking up 3 points. They're on 39 points from 21 games played. So it's still only 1 game in it between 7th and 4th. So it's still incredibly close. So while this weekend was potentially going to be season defining, Adam, all it's done is tighten it up even further.
I think the word season defining is going to come up again over the next couple of weeks. I think the road all the way to the end is going to be basically one result could change the nature of the game. For example, next Sunday night, Brisbane Roar go up to come up here to Walter Park to face Moreton Bay. Moreton Bay win that game. They repeat what they did early in the season. All of a sudden, they're in the hunt again for the top four. So it could so easily change on a week's basis. And listen, that's not the only games in the coming weeks where the top 7 teams will meet each other.
No, it's not, but that is the big game in the next round of fixtures, right? It's Brisbane Roar. They are actually the home side against Moreton Bay United up there at Walter Park. All the other teams in the top 7 play teams in the bottom half. So it's an opportunity for those teams to pick up points. But for the Roar and Moreton Bay, it is a potentially massive clash. We will move on now to FQPL 1, where one team who will not be in that competition next year, Adam, and this was decided, this was probably a long time coming. It's Brisbane City. They have been promoted to the NPL Queensland for 2022, the runaway premiers of that competition. They had a big win at home against Holland Park Hawks on Saturday night out there at CTM Stadium. Before we talk about it, let's hear what the captain, coach, and football director of Brisbane City, Matt Smith, had to say after his side clinched promotion back to the NPL Queensland in 2022.
Done by the player coach of Brisbane City, Matt Smith. Matt, congratulations. Obviously a massive night for the club, but firstly on the game tonight, a really good performance from your side.
First half was good. Yeah, first half was good. I think we went 3-0 up, obviously. Thought we controlled the game. But however, second half, we weren't in control as much. I think that they got back into it. We weren't ruthless enough. We got ourselves in some good positions. It could have really been 4 or 5 or 6, but then we kept them in the game. But at second half, they got their goal, and then like I said, we didn't really control it as best as what I would have liked to have controlled the second half.
Was that the message?
And but that's credit to them. Like obviously they come in the front foot and put us under a bit of pressure, and I've got to give credit to Holland Park for that.
Was that kind of the message going into the game then as well? Obviously a massive night for the club, but start the game off right, make sure we get the job done, and then we can worry about the celebrations. It seemed like the first 20 minutes in particular, boys were on fire.
Yeah, look, we've been building all season, not necessarily for this moment. Like we've been building a squad that can transition into the NPL. Yeah. So we've been refining our systems all season. So tonight was another night from a performance point of view that is adding to the 17 previous performances that we put in. Like these celebrations are just a byproduct of whatever we've been working on for the last 8 or 9 months now.
The energy was obviously a big night back in the NPL. It was obviously the stated aim at the beginning of the year to get the club back to that level. It must be incredibly satisfying to get that job done. Yeah,
look, I had a quick speech inside, and the amount of work that goes in by the players week in, week out. Like we have a very high attendance in terms of our training and our preparation. I have some really good coaches around me that help the delivery of it, and the players committed to City at the start of the year knowing that there was a longer term plan. It was our objective at the start of the year to get promoted back into the NPL, which is where the club belong. We are a very big historic club within the landscape of Australian football. So obviously, the big objective this year was to get promoted, but the bigger picture is that we're building a team that can go into the NPL and compete. We're building a team that can go another 3, 4, 5 years.
And this one for yourself, it's obviously your first bit of success as a coach. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, it is. Oh, look, again, I think that I have to pay credit to the people around me. We have a fantastic group of players culturally that are very, very good. I can't ask for anything more of them. It's been a challenging year. There's players that have come into the squad that have left us. We've been able to bring in some players during the year. But the consistent theme within everything that we do is about being better. So, again, my assistant coaches, goalkeeper coaches, they make my job a lot easier. But again, we're building for that, So I can't thank them enough.
Yeah, and just finally, how important is it to finish off the season now that you've got the promotion spot in the bag, the Premiership? How important is it to finish the season off on a high?
Keep going
with the final series as well.
Yeah, just again, tonight we were able to wrap up the season early because we're the best team in the comp. I don't have any embarrassment in saying that. We want to finish the season strong. We're going to go into the next 3 games going to win all 3 games, and we're obviously going to go in the grand final. So it's important that we keep building momentum so that we finish the season strong.
You have been the best team the table doesn't lie. Enjoy the celebration.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
So that was the player, coach and football director of Brisbane City, Matt Smith. And as Daniel Bowles said in the presentation last night, that's my skipper, Adam.
It is. And but look, 300 days. It's been that Brisbane City have have gone down and then come back up. Look, congratulations to them. Look, and for us personally, we've been there sort of the entire step of the way. We were there on November 15 last year when they were officially relegated at Goodwin Park, and to be there last night to see them, finally achieve promotion. Which, look, at the end of the day, we knew it was coming. The way they've spent, the way they've built up that squad. They are an NPL caliber side, but they still had to do it. They still have to do it. And also as well, I guess the one thing as well is not only the player and the squad that obviously deserve congratulations, but it is the club themselves. It is amazing the change in the place at a Corporate Travel Management Stadium, inside a year. That, last year it was with all due respect, it was a depressing place to go to watch football. There wasn't really much sort of going on emphasis, and as much as they tried on the pitch, it seemed to be sort of all sort of going to the wolves, I guess. But look, to see the turnaround of that club in a year, and look, a lot of people say that Brisbane City should never have been in that position in the first place, and we all agree on that. But also, it's a reminder for a lot of these other historical clubs. Look, your place in the top flight is not divine. You need to put in and invest every year, and I think that's a lesson that Brisbane City learned. And you know what? Their mantra, we are back. Well, they are back, and let's just hope they're back for a long time to come.
There might be another club, a historical club, who might have to learn that lesson. We'll talk about that in future weeks. But you're right, Brisbane City, we have followed this journey for a while. Not just that night in November last year where they were officially relegated. We were following them pretty closely, actually, at the back end of the season, because it was one of those things that it looked like for a while it could happen and was going to happen, but you didn't really believe it was going to happen until it actually did happen, that they did get relegated. And you're right, the road to redemption has been a long one. It's been a bit of a painful one for them, but on and off the field in the last 12 months, right, they have been absolutely spectacular. And it was capped off with the result last night, but it's the whole step along the way. Everything along the way they've done has been absolutely superb. And you're right, the whole match day experience at Brisbane City has completely evolved, not just on the field, but off the field in the last 12 months. It's really good to see that club showing the ambition to get themselves back to where they should be. And now hopefully they kick on. I think they did mention it actually in the presentation. I thought Matt Smith said it as well in that interview we had with him. The goal isn't just to get back to the NPL. They want to get into the fight with these top 7 or 8 teams and be a part of that, because that's really where they should be. But in order to get to there, they had to get back into the competition, and they're there now. And it was a good win over Holland Park as well. It was 3-1, 2 goals from Sam Subatoir, an early penalty from Fraser Hills, and really it could have been 5 or 6 if they wanted to be ruthless.
Yeah, look, that's the one thing that we know from that you'll note from the Matt Smith interviews, that it was a good first half. The second half wasn't great, and even though with the back of mind knowing that all you needed was a point to be crowned premiers, to gain promotion, and to come out and say, look, we're not satisfied with that. And they did lose that second half 1-0, albeit a very, very good goal from Connor McCauley, who, look, Holland Park, they try as they might, especially as well, given they could have laid down as well and pretty much rolled over, given that they've already been relegated. They at least put up a fight in the second half. The first half, they were just blown off the park, and I think that's the story of their season. I just don't think they have the quality at the moment to be able to match it with these top sides, even FQPL 1 at the moment. But yeah, look, they weren't satisfied with that, but it goes to the point that they're still going to go out. They've got history to make. They still 3 wins. Will make them the greatest FQPL team. They'll be even eclipse that 2019 Pinchot Power side. 2018 Pinchot Power side, because as they lost the game. They dropped points. They drew with Logan Lightning in that season. And then obviously as well, then they obviously want to win the grand final. So there's still 5 games to win for Brisbane City. And by the sound of things, they're going to go out swinging, trying to make sure they pick up those 5 Ws.
Absolutely, you're right. That was the thing that really struck me about the interview with Matt Smith. He was right. He was happy with the first half, but I think he's trying to. I think my takeaway from that is he doesn't want complacency to get set in. That we've got the promotion now, where the Premiers. There's still targets this season that they want to tick off. It's not just get back to the NPL. I think they want to get back to the NPL as champions. Right, there are 3 games left to go in the regular season. I'm sure at this point now the ambition would be to go undefeated and win all those games, but I think the grand final is going to be important to Brisbane City. They haven't won a grand final in a very long time. I think the last one they played in would have been the first grand final in the NPL era back in 2013 or 14 from memory. So it's been a while since they've played in one, let alone won one. So you can imagine that's a big box to tick, and it seems like the focus is still there on that.
Absolutely, and again, nothing's given. Even though they may very well go 20 for 20 and finish off the perfect regular season. But even in this context, when we get to finals, it's a different season. They still got to show up and win the semi-final and win a grand final. And you got to believe that Thunder and Western Pride and Rochdale aren't going to be gunning for them. They're saying, well, look, the premiership's gone, but we've got 90 minutes to be able to try and knock off who have been the best team in that league. And you can bet that they're going to gun for it. I don't think any of those 3 other clubs who are now all locked in, by the way, not speculating, Rochdale, South West Queensland Thunder and Western Pride will be playing finals football in FQPL 1. You don't think that any of those sides will be taking their chances thinking, you know what, we can knock them off. And that's what you've got to hope. And I think Brisbane City are ready to meet that challenge.
Oh, the target's going to be on their back. Absolutely. That will be the target for those other 3 sides to do that. But we'll see what happens in the final series, because you're right. At this point, there's not a lot left to play for in FQPL1. Brisbane City have been crowned premiers. They're on 51 points. There's an 11-point gap to second place side, Rochdale Rovers. And you've got Southwest Queensland Thunder in third on 37 points with a game in hand on Rochdale. And fourth place is Western Pride. Now, those 4 sides have kicked clear of the rest of the pack and secured their spot in the top 4. So that will, in almost all likelihood, it will be Brisbane City versus Western Pride in one semi-final, and then Rochdale v Thunder in either home or away. We'll have to wait and see in the other game. At the bottom end of the table, Holland Park Hawks, as we mentioned, they were relegated in midweek against Thunder. Wynnum Wolves had the bye this weekend, but due to results in other games, they have also been relegated, and the final spot, that final relegation spot will be decided between Sunshine Coast Fire and South United. They play next weekend up on the Sunshine Coast. It will have to be a win there for South United. Otherwise, they will be the third side to go down. Now, actually, I just realized we didn't read through the rest of the results in FQPL 1, so I better do that as well, Adam. The other games of the round, it was a 4-3 win for Western Pride away from home against South United. Mitchelton, 2 goals from Shuto Kubiyama was enough there to get them a result against Southside Eagles. And it was a 2-2 draw between Southwest Queensland Thunder and Sunshine Coast up on the range tonight. But all eyes in FQPL are essentially on the final series, apart from potentially next weekend, that final relegation spot up there on up on the Sunshine Coast, Adam.
Yeah, and that Western Pride South United game, I was chatting to our good friend from the pit, Liam Parslow, on Saturday morning. He sort of accused me of jinxing him after I went to the early crow, and boy was I pressed my fingers seeing after Western Pride had to fight back 3 times to eventually win that game. So I thought, oh my God, all of a sudden, the green and white side of Ipswich are going to be at me for jinxing them. So thank God they won.
Yes, I think South United might have been sent a copy of that conversation between you and Liam and used as a bit of motivation, but they got there in the end, Western Pride. We'll move on now to FQPL 2, because the premiership race there has also been decided. The runaway leaders, Caboolture, were crowned premiers midweek after Magic United picked up a result against Grange Thistle midweek, which you mentioned earlier. It's a great result for Caboolture and nothing less than they deserve.
Yeah, look, they again, it's very, very similar to Brisbane City. They came into FQPL 2 with ambitions to basically conquer and move up the pyramid, and they've done just that. They have dropped a few games, including on Saturday night against Magic United. But look, I think it's very, very comfortable for them. Look, congratulations to them as well. And again, I think they'll go up next season, FQPL 1, and I don't think they'll be making up the numbers. I truly believe that they will be challenging.
I think they'll be in the fight. We'll have to wait and see whether they're in the top of the fight or in the chase back. We'll have to wait and see, but they're certainly going to be in the discussion for spots in the top half of the table. There's no doubt about that. Congratulations to Terry Kirkham and the side up there at Caboolture. They did, however, lose, to your point, 2-1 to Magic United at the weekend, so perhaps a little bit of a hangover there. But a great result for Magic. We'll get to the table in a moment. 4-0 win for North Star at home against Virginia. And in the games played today, it was a 1-0 win for Grange Thistle away to Coomera and a 4-1 win for Samford at Taringa, which makes the table very interesting in FQPL 2 because, well, Caboolture are crown premiers on 47 points, Adam. The rest of the top four is actually somewhat interesting. You've got Taringa on 37, Grange Thistle on 36, so potentially a home final on offer there for those two sides. And you've got North Star on 30 points and Magic United 27, and they have a game in hand on North Star. So second and third is interesting, and fourth and fifth potentially as well.
Yeah, look, and Magic United in FQPL 1 are the form team at the moment. They've run the gauntlet and they've knocked off, in the space of 2 weeks, have knocked off the three top teams. So North Star is a very, very important win to beat Virginia. That keeps them 3 points ahead, and they've got. I'm just looking at the table now. They have got the goal difference on their side, North Star. So they need to keep winning. But look, Magic United, they're closing fast, and that's going to, I think, provide the interest in that competition. Will be who finishes fourth.
Would you say they brought the Magic out of lockdown?
I think they have.
Sorry, I couldn't help that.
Bad pun there.
I make no apologies for my bad puns whatsoever, and we will move on very quickly to the MPL Women's, where there were plenty of games played over the weekend, and starting off with Capalaba 8, Eastern Suburbs 1, Lions SC 3, Sunshine Coast Wanderers 1, Moreton Bay 2, QAS 1, and Gold Coast United 1, South United 0. A really dominant performance straight off the top there from Capalaba. 2 goals from Amber Sims, Billy Murphy, and Larissa Crummer, Adam.
Yeah, they're keeping the premiership race alive as far as mathematically goes. Obviously, I think Lions they will go to Walter Park on Friday night, needing a point to wrap up the premiership. But it is important that Capalaba keep winning, and they actually lay down a marker. And I think this 8-1 result shows that what they've got the side that potentially could put some goals away. And I'm not sure what happened to East. So I think that's but then again with as we've seen over the years of MPL women, there's some times that some games that can be sort of boring, sort of dour struggles. Other times, everything you touch goes to gold. And I think it might have been that case for Capalaba. But the game that I think is going to be very, very interesting going forward will be in the final round when Lions do host Capalaba. I think that's going to be, even though the premiership race is going to be over, I still think that's going to be statements. And I think Capalaba need to keep their form up going into that game.
They do. And actually, the one good thing that happened for East this weekend, they got beaten comprehensively on the field, but their nearest challenger for that top 4 spot, South United, they lost down on the Gold Coast today to Gold Coast United, a goal from Eloise Weston midway through the second half. So despite the fact that they did get beaten comprehensively, Adam, they still hold their spot in the top 4. As we transition to talking about the table, Lions, to your point, they are well clear on top of the table, and they have every chance of potentially securing another premiership on Friday night up there at Walter Park against Moreton Bay United. Capalaba are in second on 43 points. Some 12 points behind Lions. Gold Coast United are in third on 43. Eastern Suburbs are fourth on 37, and South United fifth on 36. So it's, again, a bit like FQPL 2. That battle for second spot in a home semi-final between Capalaba and Gold Coast is still well and truly on, and so is that spot between fourth and fifth for that final spot in the finals. South United probably been the better side over the course of the season, but Eastern Suburbs find themselves in the top 4 currently.
Yeah, South United have a game in hand, so that's probably going to tip the favour in their scale. But look, you're right. South and East, they're going to fight out right to the end as far as that 4th spot goes. And also as well, Capalaba and Gold Coast United, home field advantage is going to be so important as far as as far as that potential semi-final meeting, because I think Capalaba would fancy themselves to beat Gold Coast at Max Haynes Field.
Absolutely, it would be very interesting to see what happens with that, because I think you're right. There is the battle for those spots in the top four. I think second, third, and fourth. We'll talk about this a little bit. Those sides, whoever finishes in those positions, they're about the same as each other, aren't they? They could beat each other on any given day, but it's just, can any of them rise up and beat Lions? That's the question.
It would have to be one almighty ambush, and I think Lions would have to really falter and be well below their best. And finals football can do that. That's the one thing that we can say, is that in finals football, anything can happen, and that's probably the only hope as far as stopping the Lions juggernaut. But it's a side that's also scored 107 goals this season. So it's 107 goals and have gone conceded. I'm trying to do the math.
Conceded 9. They're on plus 98 goal difference. So not only could they wrap up the premiership on Friday night, they also may bring up the 100 on their goal difference as well. Yeah,
and and then when they're doing it at both ends, that's a very, very good team. And I have no doubt if our sort of words go far and wide across the country, this is the best women's team in the country at NPL level. There's no doubt about it. I think this is a better team, that South Melbourne side, who at the moment are in lockdown, but the name's there. I still would back this Lions team any day of the week against them.
Yep, I'll agree with that. I think they would beat them, and I think they beat them quite comfortably, to be brutally honest with you.
And quite frankly, I think
this team is that good across the board. It's got depth as well, Adam. The players who aren't in the team at the moment are also really good. They've got the ability at Lions to be able to rotate the squad as often as they need to and still bring in top quality players that can get the job done. They had 3 games in 6 days over the course of this week, and they won all 3 convincingly. So that shows you the depth that they've got.
Yeah, look, like I said, they absolutely thumped QAS 9-0, and QAS had been pretty good. Like I said, they were very competitive against. They just went down to Moreton Bay. They beat Sunshine Coast, and they have been competitive against the other sides. But this Lions side is just at another level. As I said before, not only I think they're the best NPL women's team in the country. Look, I think they could beat half the W League at the moment.
They could give a couple in the W League a really good game, and given the fact that the Roar have signed a couple of players out of there, it tells you that they've got plenty of W League quality players. We'll move on quickly to FQPLW, Adam. It was on Friday night, a 1-0 win for Mitchelton thanks to Jess Hogg away to Logan Lightning. Western Pride 6-0 over the Southwest Queensland Thunder, a hat-trick from Abby Lloyd in that game. 2 goals from Emily Dunn helped Brisbane City with a 3-0 win over Peninsula Power, and Olympic had a 1-0 win away from home at the Gap thanks to a goal from Alira Toby 15 minutes from time, which sees them retain their spot at the top of the table, 3 points clear of Brisbane City. Western Pride in third on 31, and then after that, I think it's pretty much a race between 3, isn't it? For that one spot in NPL Women's in 2022, it's between Olympic, Brisbane City, and Western Pride, and we'll see what happens when they play each other.
Yeah, that race can go right up to the final week. And look, any of those 3 teams have the capabilities to finish top and return to NPL.
Absolutely. Now, are you going to mention anybody else for Performer of the Week, or are we just going to both agree it's Cyrus Demi?
No, I'm going to Cyrus Demi. I think, as I said at the top of the show, look, if you don't think he's ready for A-League, look, I don't know what you're watching. He's shown that his rise in this last year. Look, he deserves a chance. He's ready for A-League football.
He is ready for A-League. I'm not sure about W League, but he's certainly ready for A-League football. He might play on Tuesday night off the bench for the Roar and against Power in the Cup. We'll have to wait and see. But we won't talk about that next weekend, but we'll talk about plenty of games in the NPL. Anything in the next 7 days that's really caught your eye?
Look, I think, I'm hyped up for Brisbane Roar Moreton Bay next Sunday. I think that's a huge game for both sides.
And Adam will be there with his half scarf in that one, without doubt. And before he can really give any response, I'm going to wrap this up. Adam, thanks for joining me once again.
Yep, thanks, Scott.
All right, that'll do for this edition of the Brisbane Football Reviews NPL Sunday Show. We'll talk to you once again next week.